Welcome, pilots! This video is part of a series that will focus on fitting pirate faction cruisers for running combat sites. In this episode, I'll be shining a spotlight on the Vigilant, a faction cruiser with bonuses to medium hybrid turrets and stasis webifiers. In order to fly the Vigilant, you'll need both your Galent cruiser and Minotaur cruiser skills trained to at least level 2. Continuing to train Galent cruiser will increase your fall-off range with medium hybrid turrets, while continuing to train Minotaur cruiser will increase the effectiveness of stasis webifiers. The Vigilant's roll bonus gives it a decent boost to medium hybrid turret damage. It has a reasonably strong armor and hull layer, a reasonably sized drone bay, and decent attributes all around. But for exploration purposes, it lacks a utility high power slot. With a slot layout of 4 mid-slots and 6 low slots, the Vigilant has a much stronger armor tank, though it is possible to fit an active shield tank. There are 3 main fitting options you'll be choosing for the Vigilant. The first option is whether to use short-range blasters or long-range railguns. Blasters have excellent tracking and damage output, but require you to engage at incredibly close range. Blasters are great in combat anomalies like the Refuge or Den, where the NPCs all spawn in relatively close proximity. Railguns are good for long-range sniping, but poor at dealing with targets closer than about 10 kilometers. I generally prefer railguns in combat signatures, especially in sites featuring stasis towers. Hybrid turrets are locked into dealing thermal and kinetic damage, which is actually quite good for dealing with the majority of NPCs. The second fitting option is whether to use an active armor tank or active shield tank. With 6 low power slots, it can fit an armor tank with either 2 armor repairers or a single repair with high resists. And the third fitting option is your choice of propulsion modules. This decision will be guided partially by fitting concerns, as an afterburner will leave more capacitor and power grid available for your tank. Fitting both a micro-warp drive and afterburner could be an option, giving you the flexibility to both speed tank during encounters, or race to a wreck when in direct competition with another capsuleer. I managed to build a single fit for the Vigilant, a high-resist, single-rep armor tank. But before I present that fit, I thought I'd review several alternative fits. The first is an active shield tank, suitable against the Guristas, Serpentis, or Angel Cartel. It uses Tech 2 250mm railguns with 2 Tech 2 magnetic field stabilizers and full flights of both Federation Navy Hobgoblins and Caldari Navy Hornets in the drone bay. With antimatter charges, this achieves about 470 DPS. A Sisters Core probe launchers fit in the final high power slot, with Sisters probes. The active shield tank includes a Tech 2 large shield booster, a Tech 2 multi-spectrum shield hardener, and 3 core defense operational solidifier rigs. One of them is the Tech 2 variant, giving us a shield boost rate of about 119 hit points per second. To make the fit cap stable, it needs a Republic Fleet large cap battery and 4 Tech 2 capacitor flux coils. Note that I fit a Tech 2 afterburner rather than a micro-warp drive. If you prefer close-range combat, you could switch to heavy neutron blasters. This brings your damage output up to about 540 DPS, over 600 with faction antimatter, or over 750 with Tech 2 void charges. The second fit is an active dual-rep armor tank, suitable against the Blood Raiders or Sansha's Nation. It has identical offensive modules to the shield fit, with Tech 2 250mm railguns, 2 Tech 2 magnetic field stabilizers, and full flights of both Federation Navy Hobgoblins and Caldari Navy Hornets in the drone bay. A Sisters Core probe launchers fit in the final high power slot, with Sisters probes. The active armor tank consists of 2 Tech 2 medium armor repairers, a Tech 2 damage control, and 2 auxiliary nanopump rigs. One of them is the Tech 2 variant, achieving an armor repair rate of just over 100 hit points per second. To make the fit cap stable, it needs a Republic Fleet large cap battery and Tech 2 cap recharger in the mid-slots, along with a Tech 2 capacitor power relay in a low power slot. To ensure there's enough power grid, it requires an ancillary current router rig. The final mid-power slot is the Tech 2 tracking computer. In most situations against Blood or Sansha NPCs, you'll likely use an optimal range script. And finally, here's the active armor fit that I actually use to run every high-security combat site. It once again copies the offensive modules of the other fits, with Tech 2 250mm railguns, 2 Tech 2 magnetic field stabilizers, and the same complement of drones. A Sisters Core probe launcher is fit in the final high power slot, with Sisters probes. The active armor tank consists of a single Corprum C-type medium armor repair, a reactive armor hardener, and 2 Tech 2 multi-spectrum energized membranes in the low slots. It also includes 2 auxiliary nanopump rigs, one of them the Tech 2 variant, to achieve an armor repair rate of about 64 hit points per second. So long as the Cartel C-type micro warp drive is not running, the fit is cap stable. It includes a Republic Fleet large cap battery and compact cap recharger in the mid slots. To ensure there's enough power grid, it requires an ancillary current router rig. The final mid-power slot is a Tech 2 tracking computer. I'll now showcase some footage using the single rep armor fit against some of the more difficult combat sites. In the second room of the Angel Cartel occupied mining colony, I found the Vigilant's impressive range on railguns made completing the site rather straightforward, with very little pressure on my tank. Blitzing the Angel Vigil was equally easy, with my railguns taking out Pad Wee before my drones could even reach him. In the second room of the Malzatah Monastery, this theme continued. Once I had the attention of all the cruisers, I just sent my drones to take out the stasis towers, while I wailed away on the inner sanctum with my railguns. Even facing up against the tracking disruption in the second room of Sansha's nation-occupied mining colony, my tank held up fine while I took out the true Sansha foreman. While not as efficient as the Gila or Orthrus, I found that the high-resist single-rep rail-fed Vigilant felt quite safe running high-security combat sites, so long as you keep yourself at an arm's length from the mobs of NPCs. I've included all of these fits over on my website at RileyEntertainment.com. I do provide alternate fits for Alpha pilots, but I only tested the Omega single-rep armor fit. I would caution younger players to fully train into these fits first, rather than trying to downgrade any of the modules. And that's all I have for the Vigilant. With my series on Pirate Faction cruisers now complete, I'll be doubling back to finish the final video in the Hacking Site series, where I'll discuss tactics and ship fits for solo exploration in dangerous space. If you ever need a little help running any combat site you find in high security space, you can check out my comprehensive library of video guides right here on this channel. Stay tuned to Riley Entertainment for more EVE Online combat site guides, and smash that like button if you enjoy my content.